ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमती भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनीति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna, we welcome everyone for today morning discussion and the reading of Bhagavad Gita. We are on the 12th chapter. We had discussed the 16th verse last time. So once again, we are reading the concluding section of Bhakti Yoga. And now in the concluding section of Bhakti Yoga is all about pleasing Krishna. So while Krishna concludes Bhakti Yoga, he tells what pleases him. And that is the discussion which is going on. 17th verse. Yo na harshati na dveshti na sochati na kankshati shubha ashubh parityagi bhakti maya same priya. One who neither rejoices nor grieves, who neither laments nor desires, who renounces both auspicious and inauspicious things. Such a devotee is very dear to me. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. A pure devotee is neither happy nor distressed over material gain and loss, nor is he very much anxious to get a son or disciple, nor is he distressed by not getting them. If he loses anything which is very dear to him, he does not lament. Similarly, if he does not get what he desires, he is not distressed. He is transcendental in the face of all kinds of auspiciousness, inauspiciousness, and sinful activities. He is prepared to accept all kinds of risk for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord. Nothing is an impediment in the discharge of his devotional service. Such a devotee is very dear to Krishna. What does it mean? Na harshati, na dveshti. Harshati means harsh. That's a root word here. Rejoices. Dveshti, dvesh, animosity. In other words, grief-stricken. What does it mean? How do we practice that? My understanding this, because this is something that we need to apply in our life. So my understanding of it is, what is that? Matra spashastu kaunteya shitoshna sukha dukkada agama paino nityas tam stitikshva bharata. So my understanding on this verse is tam stitikshva. We need to learn to tolerate success, tolerate failure, tolerate when our desires are fulfilled, tolerate when our desires are not fulfilled, tolerate one's own accomplishment, and tolerate one's own failure. Now, this could be a set of belief or a mindset, or it could be represented in action. However, Prabhupada's purport here is indicating more towards an action. And what he meant by that is, whatever situation, my life, my bhakti life continues as it is. It will not stop. I will not get distracted. I will not get disturbed by it. Example, Abhimanyu being killed and Arjuna. From one perspective, if you see, for whom am I fighting now? When a person, let's say a father, is working hard, he's working hard for whom? When as a young man you're working hard for yourself. When you are father of a grown-up son, and still if you have to work hard, you're working hard for whom? To give a good future to your dependents. But when your own dependents are not there, why should I continue working hard? Yes or no? Arjuna has a far greater reason to walk away from the battlefield after the death of Abhimanyu than before the war began. Because nothing had happened that time. But now for whom does he need to fight? For how long is he going to rule? Anyways, the culture was the elderly person, he was 89 years old, which means anytime soon he will take Vanaprastha. So he was fighting for whom? So that's the point. Arjuna again got bewildered. He continued. And that happened after listening to Bhagavad Gita. Now, if this Bhagavad Gita's message wasn't there, then Arjuna could have definitely thought, why am I fighting? For whom? What will I get? I've already killed Bhishma Pitamaha. So many deaths have already happened. Now I've lost my own son. So that's the point here, a devotee. So another take to understand this concept or this point is why we get bewildered, why we get affected is our strong affinity to this material world. We think this is the reality and we cannot escape, and we want to make our permanent home here. We want to find eternal happiness here. So we cannot accept the fact, dukhalayam ashashvatam. We cannot accept the fact, padam padam yat vipadam natesham. We cannot accept these realities that this material world is a place of suffering. Even if you've got joy, even if you've got success, it is very short-lived. Yet we keep on making endeavors for enhancing our bodily comforts, material comforts. Therefore, this becomes very difficult to practice. So it's about tolerance, tolerating one's own mind, tolerating one's own biases, tolerating one's own judgmental views, tolerating one's own ignorance, and willingness to accept the right. Text number 18 and 19. Shamaha shatro cha mitre cha tatha mana apamanayo shitoshna sukha dukkheshu samaha sangha vivarjitaha tulya ninda stutir mauni santushto yena kenachit aniketaha saramatir bhakti mane priyo naraha. Shamaha Shatru cha Mitre cha, equipoised, seeing Shatru and Mitra with the equal vision. Yesterday we were reading, if I'm correct, that a devotee does not take sides, right? So this is my enemy, this is my friend. No, we don't, because the moment you say, I am this wing, that wing, then other party unavoidably becomes your enemy, even if you don't have any animosity. Yes or no? If you haven't had that experience, even in your friend circle, if there had been a conflict between your two common friends, and if you happen to spend time with one side or show favor to one side, your relationship with the other person automatically gets affected. How many of you agree? You have no misgivings for that person, but your relationship automatically gets affected. The other party would say, because you are spending more time with him, which means you don't like me. He would start judging you. Yes or no? So this whole idea of partition. Similarly, in Vaishnava community, we have to be very careful of not creating this kind of groupism. One is, I am a disciple of so-and-so Diksha Guru. Chalo, wo to fir bhi theek tha. Now the problem is, I am a so-and-so counsely. So we say counsely brothers. I mean, are you crazy or what? I mean, do we have less partition mentality that you're creating now? I'm a counseling brother. I mean, okay, God brother, okay, still. But even I don't like that thing. Because in our neophyte condition, then we start comparing one guru with other guru. We all belong to one family. And the root of that family is Srila Prabhupada. Whom we are trying to serve here, Srila Prabhupada, through Srila Prabhupada's representative. He is our master, he is our teacher, and all of us who are teaching, all who are teaching us, guiding us in our life, they are meant, it's their duty to teach what Prabhupada taught. Therefore, we read Prabhupada books. For example, I could have opened Baldev Vidya Bhushan's Bhagavad Gita, could have started reading for all of you. You know, probably there could be more audience attending it thinking that something new we're going to get to know, right? People are attracted to hear something new. No. Our source of education, our source of knowledge is Srila Prabhupada book. So this whole thing is, so Samaha Shatru Cha Mitra Cha. What it means for us is not get into this groupism. I like this, I do not like this. Why? Among what is the meaning of like, dislike within the Vaishnava community? Tatha man apamanayo. Tatha man apamanayo. So samaha man apamanayo. So the samaha word is used for that also. Man apamanayo, honor and dishonor. Now this is very difficult to do it. When somebody honor you, again you see, you become more attached to that person. Yes or no? You think, oh, he is my true friend because he's respecting me. And when somebody disrespects you, he is my enemy. So somewhere it's difficult. But somewhere we have to start, na? We have to stop tagging people. My friend, my enemy. No. Why don't we see everything in relation to Krishna? Aham bija prataha pitaha. Krishna says, I am the seed-giving father. Everyone is part and parcel of the Lord. Now, who is my friend? Who is my enemy? There is a lot of karma playing into action here. Based on your karmic account, karmic reaction, somebody becomes your friend, somebody becomes your enemy. And your preconceived ideas. So whom do you blame? Whom do you say your friend and enemy in this world? For example, if you're born into a Hindu family, and if in your neighborhood is a radical religious people, so they will say, you are my enemy. What do you mean by enemy? Because you have some tag that you're born into a Hindu family, they take you as an enemy. What is the meaning of it? If you, the same person, were born into that radical religious family, then you were their well-wisher, you were their friend. So wherever you see, these all radical people, if you see that, radicalization जो करते हैं, even they are not well-wishers of their own people. They just want to exploit people on the name of God. So this tagging does not help my friend, my enemy. And now if you look in the world, the way we are taught, let's say education is, news is the means by which people get the most education of what is happening day-to-day affair. Yes or no? We watch news for that purpose, what is happening in the world. What does the news does to you? Enemy state, friendly state. Enemy community, friendly community. Everything is about competition. Everything is about competition. And Krishna is saying, yeah, no, not like that. I mean, we have to follow something which is entirely against the established rule of the society today. You know, how difficult indeed it would be. Think about it. Shitoshna Sukha Dukheshu. That's the reason I said this is all verses going on here about tolerance. You know, Shitoshna Sukha Dukheshu. Tolerate. Samha with equanimity. Sangha Vivarjitaha. Sangha Vivarjitaha. Sangha Vivarjitaha. The bad association. Contaminating association. Who's always free from contaminating association. What is a contaminating association? Any association, even if that of a devotee, drags your consciousness down, is contaminating consciousness. Please don't think about contaminating association means only of non-devotees. Contaminating association means any association which deprives you or which reduces your Krishna consciousness or which distracts you. For a devotees, that largely becomes from devotee community. Because we are not living in a pure devotee association. I mean, that is impractical to expect in the material world. Therefore, it is our responsibility to be careful while we deal with each other. If we deal on a very mundane level, my friend, this friend, that friend, our relationship, prime relationship in Krishna consciousness should be vertical relationship with our authorities, with our mentor. And that relationship we should try to exercise. Then only we'll be able to exercise a relationship with Krishna and see the whole world in that context. Otherwise, how do we live our life? My friend, your friend. So that we have to be careful about it. Tulya Ninda Stutir Mauni. Tulya Ninda is Tulya, the Prabhupada says, equal Ninda in defamation. Stuti with repute. Ninda, Stuti. Ninda mile, ya Stuti mile is equal. Again, it's a very difficult thing. So I would say this is about little tolerance here again. Tolerate yourself. Your mind when it gets agitated. I'll think more on it. Nothing much is coming on this point. What it means in practicality, I'll think more, come back. Santushta. Mauni means, Mauni has different meanings. Let's see what Prabhupada writes. Prabhupada says Mauni here is silent. But Mauni also means, generally Mauni means grave. What does silence means? Silence, not to keep your mouth shut. Silence means not to speak anything which is not Krishna conscious. And how it can happen? Only when you are grave. The Mauni actually means gravity. We speak, but we speak which uplift the consciousness. Can you imagine, just hypothesize, if you are living in an environment where in every association you feel surcharged with Krishna consciousness? How many of you say that will become like a spiritual world? Because everyone reminds you of Krishna. You meet with anyone and you surcharge. Now what happens entirely opposite. You meet with people, they drag your consciousness down. All mundane talk, this and that. And what is it? If you see, what is the backdrop of all of this conversation? Fault finding. At all times, place, and circumstances, we are only doing fault finding. Your complaining is also fault finding only. Your complaining is also fault finding. At all times, place, circumstances, we are only doing fault finding. So much we have to bring about a change in ourselves. Santushto. This again will be discussed at length in the 17th chapter. This is the function of the mind, which Krishna says, austerity of mind. Santushto, satisfied. Yena kenachit. Yena kenachit means whatever comes to the own accord. Yena kenachit, he is satisfied. Aniketaha sthiramatir. Aniketaha has no residence. What do you mean no residence? It doesn't mean you cannot have your house or dwelling, which means he is not attached. For Krishna's service, or let's put Krishna's service a little away, because that we don't somehow get into action at our mindset. Let's say for your spiritual advancement, because we are more interested about I. Yes or no? Your spiritual advancement indirectly means Krishna's pleasure. Then only you'll make advancement. But what do we connect more? If I say for Krishna's pleasure or for your spiritual advancement, which sounds more attractive to you here? Your spiritual advancement or Krishna pleasure? Which sounds more attractive? Which option would you latch on very easily? Okay, how many of you say Krishna pleasure I would latch on to first? It sounds more attractive. I'll become more attentive to that. How many say I'll become more attentive when it is about my spiritual advancement? Yes, raise your hand. Yes? Think about it. But your spiritual advancement itself means Krishna's pleasure. So this is, whatever. This is our situation, whatever, but that's the meaning of it. So, Aniketa, which means no residence, having no dwelling, which means my priority is for my spiritual advancement. Where do I live? I live where I can make spiritual advancement. That is the point. No dwelling. What means? I live and I reside where I can make spiritual advancement. Sthira matir. Sthira matir means fixed up. Sthir, determined. Kahan gaya word yahan pe? Santushta. Sthir means fixed. Mati means fixed determination. Bhaktiman me priyo naraha. And such a way he engages, me priyo naraha. And such a person is very dear to me. So if you ask or if you wonder, how can I please Krishna? Please read this section. Krishna is telling you how you can please him. And we have to find out means to apply this in our life, in practicality. not only to say in theory, be equipoised, be equipoised. No, when you are challenged, then you should remember, if I tolerate this insult, or I mean, I'm not talking about in dealing with the karmis, I'm talking in terms of dealing with Vaishnavas in that context. You have to see these things have to be applied in relation to Vaishnavas community. Better for me, for example, if some devotees has kind of offended me, or if I'm offended, what should I do? Should I take a normal course of action, become angry at them, chastise them? We also have a very strong revengeful attitude. The moment something happens, our mind gets into revengeful. How and when can I get a revenge on him? अगर उसने अगली बार कुछ ऐसा कहा तो मैं उसको ऐसा 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 बोलने वाला हूं. How many of you sounds familiar to you? Yes or no? And your mind keeps on chirping. उसने ऐसा बोला तो उसको ऐसा ऐसा बोलना, because we have that revengeful. What pathetic situation we are. We're doing some little self-discovery with this verses. So somebody is thinking I'm a very nice and advanced fellow. You'll know what you are. So what was I saying with that revengeful? Just lost my thought. Was I making a point? So people ask, how do I know, how do I please Krishna? Please come back here, read this section, and try to follow that. And Krishna says, if you do so, you'll please me. That's the point here. I'll let purport. Krishna Chandra Prabhu, you want to read the purport? Hopefully, we'll be able to hear you today. Hari bol. आवाज आज भी नहीं आ रही. Something with our speaker? Okay, Mother Indu Radhika, just speak up just to see if it is problem at our end or where.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Ayo.
Yeah,
Krishna Chandra Prabhu, looks like your headphone or something is gone. I can hear Mother Indu Radhika, not you. You're not audible still.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, is it audible?
Yeah, we can hear all. Okay, Mother Indu Radhika, go ahead, read out.
Prabhuji, Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam Prabhu. A devotee is always free from all bad association. Sometimes one is praised and sometimes one is defamed. That is the nature of human society. But a devotee is always transcendental to artificial fame and infamy, distress or happiness.
What a fantastic point Prabhupada is writing, huh? If you see, he says, that is the nature of the human society. You are going to receive this. Be prepared for it. जिस समाज में रह रहे हो, कोई लात मारेगा, कोई embrace करेगा. And then Prabhupada says, artificial fame and infamy. Somebody even is glorifying you, it's artificial only. Is making sense? Why artificial? When somebody does not know oneself, how can he know you and glorify you? What is he glorifying? He is glorifying something pertaining to your body or to your mind. Oh, you're so intelligent, you're so smart. If this is what the glorification happened, it's artificial. Papa says, go ahead.
He is very patient. He does not speak of anything but the topics about Krishna. Therefore, he is called silent. Silent does not mean that one should not speak. Silent means that one should not speak nonsense. One should speak only of essentials, and the most essential speech for the devotee is to speak for the sake of the Supreme Lord. A devotee is happy in all conditions. Sometimes he may get very palatable foodstuffs, sometimes not, but he is satisfied. Nor does he care for any residential facility. He may sometimes live underneath a tree, and he may sometimes live in a very palatial building. He is attracted to neither. He is called fixed because he is fixed in his determination and knowledge. We may find some repetition in the descriptions of the qualifications of a devotee, but this is just to emphasize the fact that a devotee must acquire all these qualifications. Without good qualifications, one cannot be pure. Harav abhaktyasya kuto mahad guna. One who is not a devotee has no good qualification. One who wants to be recognized as a devotee should develop the good qualifications. Of course, he does not extraneously endeavor to acquire these qualifications, but engagement in Krishna consciousness and devotional service automatically helps him develop them.
Hare Krishna. Just want to add one or two points here. This is how Prabhupada's take would always be if you read Prabhupada's writings. Two things he would parallelly mention. When it's about qualities, Prabhupada will say if you practice bhakti, you will automatically cultivate, yes, yasti bhakti bhagavati kanchana. That is what Prabhupada is quoting in the purport. He automatically develops those qualities. Yet Prabhupada would also say we should endeavor to cultivate those qualities. How do we reconcile? Say one thing, right? Practice bhakti, qualities aa jayega. But you simultaneously then you also cultivate qualities. That's what Prabhupada says here. One who wants to be recognized as a devotee should develop the good qualifications. What is the meaning of developing when it will be awarded? What is the point about it? The point is as follows, as per my understanding goes. To be able to practice bhakti, it is only possible when we begin to at least recognize and live by some of these. You cannot practice bhakti in material world and foremost in Kali Yuga. How many of you agree your mind easily gets agitated? Raise your hand. Now, all of you have been practicing bhakti here. Okay, let's ask our online audience. Can those online who are there, can all of you switch on your cameras so I get to see? Here's my quick question I'm going to ask you here. If you all can just quickly switch on your cameras. How many of you agree your mind, I'm not saying it takes a lot of endeavor for someone or something to agitate you. I'm saying how many of you agree your mind gets easily agitated? Agitated means either when somebody insults you, either when somebody glorifies you. You know, it begins to talk too much. How many of you agree with that? Please raise your hand. It's common. It's common. Now think about it. This is our situation after practicing bhakti for years. Some of you have been new. Some of you have been practicing for years. Some of you have been practicing for, some of us practicing for decades. Even despite that, our mind is like this. Bhakti cannot be practiced like this. Well, what is the stage of bhakti? Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, na sochati, na kankshati. What is the shlok? How does it begin? What is the first word? Brahma Bhuta Prasanatma na sochati na kankshati sama sarveshu bhuteshu madbhakti labate param. Prabhupada very clearly writes, bhakti begins at this stage. Bhakti begins at this stage. What stage? Na sochati, na kankshati, which means your mind has become completely equipoised. So what I'm trying to say here, just trying to, again, through this discussion, we're trying to go through certain self-discovery because we kind of live in a very hallucinated environment. And we think of something of ourselves or something else. See, material world is not a place to perform bhakti. On top of it, Kali Yuga is not a time to perform bhakti because our mind is so weak and so fragile. Now, if it is said, yasyasti bhakter bhagavati kinchana sarve gunes tatra samasate suraha. If you practice bhakti, you'll get all the good qualities. I am put into an environment just like Gajendra, despite being a very powerful elephant, he was put into an environment which was not favorable for him to show his strength. And he tried showing his strength to a crocodile. And what happened? Gajendra was defeated. So your situation matters. Your environment matters. Therefore, in that, Srila Prabhupada category writes in that particular pastime, for a devotee, he should ensure that he is situated in the right environment to execute his bhakti. Otherwise, the power of bhakti will not manifest. Just like Gajendra's physical might could not manifest in the water because that was not his area. If the crocodile would have caught the feet of elephant, Gajendra, on the land, Gajendra with another feet would have smashed his head, within 5 minutes would have killed him, and the war otherwise went for 1000 years. So the environment, the situation matters. We are in Bhautik Jagat, we are on top of it in Kali Yuga, totally unpalatable, totally unfavorable situation. Now to practice bhakti and say that I'll just chant Hare Krishna, qualities will come. Therefore, Prabhupada is not saying that. What Prabhupada is saying? One who wants to be recognized as a devotee should develop the good qualifications. So this should be one of the targets that we should have. We should have targets how many devotees I made. We should have the target how many books we distributed. We should have the target how many plates of prasadam I distributed, how many lectures I gave, how many books I read. That's okay. But what's the point of it? If we cannot analyze, this is the section of SWOT analysis. What is my strength? What is my weakness? What are the opportunities and threats? This is we go back and we see What am I doing? What is the level of my tolerance? How much I get agitated? How much I'm willing to go? How many of you agree, if we are not even aware of it, even if not thinking of it, we'll act on a default setup? Yes or no? But when I'm aware of it, this is what Krishna wants me. Krishna wants me to become equipoised. Don't get too much agitated, don't get too much elated. Then you'll be like, okay, this is what Krishna wants me. This is what Krishna wants me. Let me be sober. Yes or no? Therefore, we need to, therefore, Prabhupada said one should cultivate, because only while exercising these qualities, you can remain progressive in bhakti. You cannot remain progressive. How many of you have acknowledged this fact, at least in your life? That when we don't follow these things, we get into a skirmish or argument, our bachi kuchi bhakti bhi disturb ho jati hai, and we struggle. Yes or no? That's the point here. All right, text number 20, the last verse for today. Ye tu dharmamritam idam yatoktam paryupasate shraddhadhana mat parama bhaktaste tiva me priya. Okay, before I go into that, I'll give you one practical tip to do that. I just resumed it last night. This is something which I love to do the most, but somehow in my passionate life, I fail to do it now. But I used to do it before in my beginning days. And I would like to tell you this all. And maybe we can create a movement around where we make this as a practice, because this is a very powerful practice, very powerful practice. And what is that? Start writing a diary page. Before you conclude your day, okay, I'll not get my diary, but I'll tell you what to, I'll give you some example of it, how to do it. Okay, I just forgot because I just did that. Can you go to my bookshelf? Wait, before running, where to, what to get, you listen that, na? You're running to bookshelf. Ha, that big diary, na? वो bookshelf में रखा लेकर आओ. I'll give you one little format that you can, you know, think of if in case you're interested. करके. Hare, ठीक है, तब तक purport पढ़ लेते हैं, translation purport. So those who follow this imperishable path of devotional service and who completely engage themselves with faith, making me the supreme goal, are very, very dear to me. Prabhupada is very, very Ativa, actually Krishna says Ativa, very, very. So those who follow this imperishable path of devotional service and who completely engage themselves with faith, making me the supreme goal, are very, very dear to me. All right. Somebody would like to read the purport? Mother Medhavni, go ahead, read the purport.
Hare Krishna Prabhupada. In this chapter, from verse 2 through the end, from Maya Veshamano Yemam, fixing the mind on me, through Yetu Dharmamritavedam, this religion of eternal engagement.
Mother, little louder.
The Supreme Lord has explained the processes of transcendental service for approaching Him. Such processes are very dear to the Lord, and He accepts a person engaged in them. The question of who is better, one who is engaged in the path of impersonal Brahman, or one who is engaged in the personal service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, was raised by Arjuna, and the Lord replied to him so explicitly that there is no doubt that devotional service to the personality of Godhead is the best of all processes of spiritual realization. In other words, in this chapter, it is decided that through good association, one develops attachment for pure devotional service and thereby accepts a bona fide spiritual master, and from him begins to hear and chant and observe the regulative principles of devotional service with faith, attachment, and devotion, and thus becomes engaged in the transcendental service of the Lord. This path is recommended in this chapter. Therefore, there is no doubt that devotional service is the only absolute path for self-realization for the attainment of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The impersonal conception of the Supreme Absolute Truth, as described in this chapter, is recommended only up to the time one surrenders himself for self-realization. In other words, as long as one does not have the chance to associate with a pure devotee, the impersonal conception may be beneficial, but I would request if it can be scrolled down on the screen. Yeah. The impersonal conception may be beneficial. As long as one does not have the chance to associate with a pure devotee, the impersonal conception may be beneficial. In the impersonal conception of the Absolute Truth, One works without fruit of result, meditates and cultivates knowledge to understand spirit and matter. This is necessary as long as one is not in the association of a pure devotee. Fortunately, if one develops directly a desire to engage in Krishna consciousness in pure devotional service, he does not need to undergo step-by-step improvements in spiritual realization. Devotional service, as described in the middle 6 chapters of Bhagavad Gita, is more congenial. One need not bother about materials to keep body and soul together, because by the grace of the Lord, everything is carried out automatically. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports to the 12th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita in the matter of devotional service.
Hare Krishna. So we conclude our discussion for today, chapter 12. And tomorrow when we resume, we'll begin with the 13th chapter. A technical yet a fantastic discussion. So far what we have been discussing in the last couple of weeks probably is about the Bhakti Yoga section. Now resumes practice of Bhakti through the platform of Jnana. It becomes easy when we have certain fundamental things clear that I'm not the body but spirit, soul, understand the basic elements by which this creation is made. We understand how the modes of material nature function. That helps us to realign ourselves and regain our focus again and again on devotional service to the Lord. And it also strengthens our determination to go back home, back to Godhead. Otherwise, हमारी जो आसक्ति इस भौतिक जगत के प्रति है वो फेविकॉल के जोड़ से भी अधिक ताकतवर है. तोड़े ना टूटे. फेविक्विक. ओके, अभी फेविक्विक आता है. हमारे जमाने में फेविकॉल आया करता था बचपन में. चेयर पे बैठते दिखाते थे. ऑलराइट, सो वी कंक्लूड हियर. थैंक यू. जगद्गुरु श्रीला प्रभुपाद की जय. श्रीमद् भगवद गीता की जय. Yes, Krishna Chandrapur, you want to say something?
The diary that's not.
Okay. Yeah, I thought if in case somebody is interested, they'll ask. So I didn't want to say anything on that. All right. So can you show this? Agnil, show this. So I loved this. This is no, Shoni, camera में zoom करो. कहाँ आ रहे हो तुम show करने के लिए? Zoom in the camera. I just loved this. This is from Mira Road Temple. I just went to our temple yesterday. I had some meetings there. And I saw this in my room. My room partner, my fellow brahmachari devotee had it. When I saw this now, and it has a very beautiful title, My Soul's Voyage. The very first thing came and I go, oh my goodness, it's been ages since I have written diary. I said, I'm starting my diary. And look, what a beautiful photo. What a beautiful photo. I just called up my devotee. I said, Prabhu, I need this diary. I first of all picked up his diary. कि उसने कुछ लिखा है मैं उठा लूँ अगर खाली है तो. I'll tell him I've taken it. I want it. I really desperately wanted it. I said, I'm taking it. So by Lord's grace, so he had made his notes, of his Bhagavatam study notes. Then somehow I got to connect with him. He was away and I had to leave back last night. So I called him and by Lord's grace, he had extra diary. I said, Prabhu, I need it. Get it to me immediately. So he was kind enough to bring it. So I got this. So a quick sample. I just want to make it, because I'm showing it here. Don't see it again. This is a private thing. Huh? Don't have to open the diary. Prabhu ka diary khol lete hain. Pehli cheez ye. This is meant to be a private thing where this is our private conversation with Krishna, with Guru and Krishna. So have that culture. बाद में आके मत बोलना प्रभु जी आपने डायरी क्या सिखा दी सबकी पोल खुल गई हर कोई बैठे बैठे एक दूसरे की डायरी खोलता रहता है. You will get a serious sinful reaction for that. Okay, don't do that among ourselves. At least hopefully nobody will touch mine. So I would say open your heart, because one thing that I've seen when I travel, people have this big issue of not कोई सुनता नहीं हमारी या हम किस पे श्रद्धा करें. All right, then talk to Krishna, talk to your Guru Maharaj. How do you talk? Start writing. That is how Bhakti Swami Maharaj used to do it. Srila Prabhupada used to do it like the same way to Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur. This is a very, very powerful thing. I mean, I used to love to do it. I love to do it still because of my passionate life. I sometimes miss it out. But I'm just speaking this, taking as an opportunity to speak all of you, because I'm speaking that I'm really obliged to follow. Now I have so many eyes looking at me that will remind me of as a pressure that I better do it every night. So how to be done? This is something, an activity which you do at the end of the day. Sit in your peaceful space away from distraction And now you talk to Guru and Krishna. It's just like you're giving your report. Can we just switch it off? What are you doing here? I mean, can we focus on things? Creating distraction. So one thing what you can do, because what we need to cultivate, what we fail to do is a prayerful mood. So very first thing could be you can begin with first thing, two things that I see which is largely missing out. One is prayerful mood and second is gratitude. Because if you cultivate gratitude, then a lot of things can get resolved automatically. So you want to begin writing one line or two lines of gratitude towards your teacher. And that can only happen when you regularly associate with them. How do you associate? Through Vani. So I heard this today, my dear spiritual master, my dear Shiksha Guru, Diksha Guru, whatnot. And this is not something you have to show to anyone, not even to your teachers. Please understand, this is your private space. So if you think, I'm going to write it, I'm going to show, then you will not write the correct thing. You get it now? I'm giving you a full condition here. Then again, you will start cheating here. Because now you're not writing for yourself, for your purification. Now you're writing to show to somebody how great I am. Because whenever it comes to showing somebody, we want to show how great we are. Nothing of that sort. You're not going to show this diary to anyone. This is your expression. And now you write down a point of gratitude. And for you to write a point of gratitude, now you have to really think, what change brought in my life? What did the devotee do in my life? Oh, I heard today my Maharaj lecture, Maharaj said like this, or I had my Diksha Guru, or I had my Shiksha Guru, I had my teacher like this, and the devotee said like this, or such a, So your contemplation increases, starts. Otherwise, we just live a mechanical life. Here, go. First thing. Second thing, it need not be your Diksha Guru and Shiksha Guru always. Because not every day you'll be hearing from them. You could be hearing some Temple Bhagavatam class. So you can say, I'm grateful for so-and-so Prabhu. He brought about such a beautiful point. And this is the point that I want to focus on. Manch on. First thing. So not only limited to Diksha and Shiksha Guru, there can be other Vaishnavas also. Now you confess after expressing gratitude. Is confession. My dear Lord, my dear spiritual master, I am struggling with this. This has to be written in this. My dear spiritual master, my dear Krishna, I am struggling with this. You're speaking to him directly now. These are my struggles. Can you please help me? And then you make a prayer. Kindly give me the strength to overcome these things. So what happens? This is self-discovery. You're recognizing your pitfalls. Oftentimes we do discovery for others. Right? You have this problem, you have that problem. It's a fact of life. We are totally distracted on the path of bhakti that we see. So this is self-discovery. Now we are looking at, अरे यार मैं दूसरों में गलतियां निकाल रहा हूँ, मेरी भी गलती देखो. And now you pray to the Lord, please help me fight with this. Overcome, give me strength. Then now any of this thing to function, it all depends on your sadhana. So now you confess your sadhana to your spiritual master and Krishna. So, my dear Gurudev, or my dear Krishna, you don't have to write every time. You can just write my dear Gurudev and my dear Krishna, then keep on writing this. If needed, I'll just put on a chat the sections. You can prepare sections like this. This is my way of doing things. You can have your own way of doing things. But if you don't understand, follow what I'm saying, rather than not doing anything, So, the next section is my sadhana score. So, today I completed my chanting by 11 o'clock, 59 minutes, 59 seconds PM. Just 1 second before becoming AM. Okay? So, there only you slap yourself hard. I am a rascal. What did my spiritual master, what Krishna wants me to do? Chant in the morning hours. First of all, I'm not doing my sadhana properly. Then I cry. This is my problem, that is my problem. You get it? Then write down your hearing. What did I heard? Not what did I heard, that will become too long. Just make it simple. How many minutes you heard? You don't have to be too much about it. 30 minutes, 40 minutes approximately. Then you talk about how much time I read. Like reading. For example, all of us have this 35 minutes reading standard. 35 minutes reading, I read. And now you think, what section did I read? 12th chapter, this is verses I read. And if you have the ability, I don't want it to become too long for you. Otherwise, you'll stop doing it regularly because if mind will say, bahut samay leta hai. So this much. But if you want, you can even add what you remember the points. Can you imagine when you go off to sleep, now you're remembering what I learned today? When you wake up, you will remember those. That is how it functions. So you can write. But if only you are able to continue. If not, just write the minutes This many minutes I heard, this many minutes I read, this is the section I read, this is about I heard. 1 or 2 lines. And then the problem statement ho chuka hai. Now next section is my struggle that I faced today. The struggle that I faced today. The problems that we spoke first is a problem that is our consistent problems. Now, what is the struggle that I faced today? This devotee did not respected me properly, so I became angry. So I got agitated. So that's another level of self-discovery. So this is where you say, no, I need to calm down. I don't need to react so sharply for that. And then other section is seva. What seva did I render? What seva did I do for you, my dear Lord, to Guru, to Krishna and Vaishnavas? What seva did I render? Like that. And then the last point, not the last, second last, is reflection. My last night reflection, I'll read out that only, because that I can read. So, with my reflection, you can understand what a heavy day I must have had yesterday, okay? So my reflection was because whole day I was in meetings yesterday. I wrote, the world is going crazy. Everyone is suffering and everyone is complaining. Ether has become so contaminating. Only way to protect oneself is strong morning program. This was my reflection before I concluded my day. And then I conclude with, may Guru and Krishna give me the spiritual strength to become resolute in my determination to serve them. Hare Krishna. How does it sound? Is it okay? Does it make sense? If you do this regularly, after a few days, I'll change my reflection. Ether is changing. World is improving. Devotees are not complaining that much now. Okay, Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada.